What's up, everybody? This is Frank Klesitz. You can kind of consider me a little bit of a moderator today to ask the questions that are on your mind. I'm with Viral Marketing. We got Damon Gettier here. Say hello, Damon.
Hey, how everybody doing?
Damon is a top real estate professional, brokerage owner out in Roanoke. Right,
Yep.
Damon?
Yep.
And obviously we have Jeff Cook, who we all know. Let's go over here and say hi, Jeff.
What's up? How's everybody doing?
Runs an incredible business out in Charleston and probably even more places now. And we're going to talk about agent recruiting today, but specifically with a little bit of a marketing spin, because I'm with Viral. And we're going to deliver on exactly what you signed up for, is how to attract real estate agents to your brokerage or your team. And I think I just want to kind of give right away, before we get started, the big idea of this whole webinar. The big idea of this webinar is that there comes a point when you realize, and Damon will talk about his transition, and Jeff, you'll talk about your transition, where it's like, you know what? Instead of fishing for homes, instead of fishing for listings, I need to go fishing for agents, right? Or people. And in order to do that, I have to change my identity from maybe being a salesperson or a real estate agent to a sales trainer, a coach, a leader, to lead other people, a teacher. That's a big shift. And when you make that shift, we're going to talk about essentially how you recruit. And those are the 4 things we talked about in the promo that you read for the webinar today. And I'll just go over those really quick to give you the big ideas that we're going to have our discussion around. I'll give you the lattice work to organize our thoughts today. Is essentially publishing training content, maybe starting a podcast, publishing educational videos on business tips so agents get to know who you are, which requires a big step to do that. We'll talk about bringing people to small little masterminds or training events so they get to know you and how to structure those and what Damon does and what Jeff does. We'll talk about one-on-one meetings when you have them with agents and how you provide value and not just, trying to hard close them and why they should work with you. How do you actually maybe do a recruiting presentation? And we'll also go into maybe why someone even joins Damon's brokerage, or why does someone join, Jeff's brokerage or team or what have you. So you can kind of see their value propositions on why someone would join. So does that sound good, guys?
Sounds great.
Sounds good to me.
All right.
Excited
If
about
you guys have any questions, this is interactive. So if you're watching this on Facebook, feel free to comment with any questions that you may have. And if you're watching this on Zoom, after the webinar, you can use the native Q&A right in here if you have any questions for these guys, because you got 2 brilliant gentlemen here that built some incredible real estate businesses that you can extract some knowledge from. So I'm excited to do this. So I guess my first question to both of you, which I think would be good for everyone here, is I'll start with you, Damon. There was a point where probably you were selling homes and you had to start fishing for agents and not so much maybe for listings, or try to balance both at the same time, which is really stressful.
Right.
Tell us about just the transition you made where it's like, I need to recruit.
Mine was kind of instantaneous. I went through the bust and the REO, or the bust and the short sales, where I was pounding out about 70 short sales a year, hating life. Life was miserable. Till I went to the REOs, and all of a sudden I was selling 200 houses a year listing. And just to maintain 200, you don't have time to work buyers. And so I had a crap ton of buyer inquiries and no bandwidth to work them. And so I brought on probably 3 buyers agents out of necessity, just because I had leads that had to be worked. And it was kind of a necessity thing. And so that's how I got started. And then I realized, hey, there's more to this. Let's get a listing agent and let's build systems around it. So I kind of worked it backwards, I guess. It was unintentional, but it worked.
Well, because you recruited to the leads that you had.
Correct.
How did you find your first agents, or what? Well, actually, the real question is not how you found them, but wasn't that a big shift for you of like, I'm spending all this money on lead gen, I'm going to give it to somebody else to service?
It wasn't mainly, and this is counter real estate intuitive, but mainly because short sales made me start not liking dealing with the public. And so I was ready to get away from that transaction-based business and get more into running a business. And so it was a welcome for me. And then once I hired 2 and realized, wow, with 2 I can replace my income, why not 4?
And how many people are you up to today in your brokerage, Damon?
I'd have to ask 30 something.
Wow.
I told Jeff I'm catching him, so.
Come on, big dog. You got a little. So one thing I just want to brag on Damon about. So 12 months ago, Damon, how many did you have?
11, 12.
11, 12. So he's tripled in size in a year. That's pretty impressive. So that's awesome. That's not easy to do. I'm sure your staff's probably pulling their hair out behind that.
Yeah.
For you.
Yeah, you probably are too, trying to train all those cats up, right?
Oh yeah, training. That's one thing, and I guess we'll get to it. That's one thing that I finally realized. Took me a long time, but my job is to lead, train, and recruit, and I stay in my lane. That's my lane: lead, train, and recruit.
That's right. That's right.
Jeff, let's go to you, Jeff. You had to make a shift. Just to relate to the audience here, that's probably caught up in listings and in the business and needs to now hire people.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many fears. I had to spend money. I had to, I either had to take time away from my listing business to invest in recruiting and it hurts my money, or I got to do both at the same time. There's just like no time for life because you're recruiting and running your business at a high level. Tell me about the shift you made moving into hiring, leading, and training as opposed to just helping people buy and sell homes.
Well, first thing I just want to start off by saying before we jump into all the meat of it is that a lot of people look at our team. At this point, we've got about 110, 120 agents on our team. And we are an independent brokerage, but all of those 120 agents are 50-50. I provide leads to all of them, and on our listing splits, it's a little bit even different than that. But the point I want to get to with that is a lot of people look at our model first and foremost and say, dude, it's just not achievable. There's the difference from where we're at to where we're going there. I can't even fathom that or even think about that, right? And so a lot of people shut down whenever they realize who we are and what we've achieved. And I just want to speak to that just for 1 second. I want to say, look, here's the difference between us and a regular real estate team. A regular real estate team might be a team leader and listing agent, a couple buyer's agents, or at least aspiring to get to that point. All I am is that times 8. I have 8 different areas and cities and locations that we service. I have 8 small teams. Each team is about a team of 12, 15, 20. Somewhere between that 8 to 20 mark is really a healthy size team. You start getting significantly bigger than that or less than that. That 8 to 20 mark is just fine. That's really, 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 really good. And I like that. And I just reduplicate that. That's my models. I just build one of those, build another one, build one of those, build another one. And I've just done that over the past 5 or 6 years. But to get back to, so, don't look at me as a team of 100, 120. Look at me as several teams of 8 to 12 to 20. Okay, so let's just start.
So I assume you have 8 reports then ahead of each team that you talk to. Is that right?
That's right. Yep. And we've actually just named a VP of sales that is now the single report for those 8. So we've actually, and I'll tell you, putting, I know we're not talking about expansion today, but you're replacing yourself with a buyer is the first step of building a real estate team, right? And then replacing yourself with a listing at the kitchen table is the hard part. That's really the hard part. The really, really hard part is replacing yourself in front of your agents, right? Because they joined because of you, they're friends with you, they're in the trenches beside you. So there's step 2 and step 3, and I find a lot of people get stuck on step 2, but in reality, step 3 is even more difficult. But step 2 is where I think a lot of people that are probably watching this today are trying to figure out step 1 and step 2. So let's really dig into that, talk just a bit about that. And I can remember back to, I was telling somebody this story earlier today. I remember back to the infamous squirrel, Frank, and I'll tell you what the squirrel was. It was 2007, 2008, and the real estate market had tightened. And, that year we were 60, 70 properties, and we were on track for 42 is all we were on track for. We were significantly about 50% down. So we were significantly down from where we were previous year. And had some staff that was, not overly happy. It was difficult to pay them. I had to take equity lines out on the house, just on and on and on and on and on. And a lot of people in that situation will say, you know what, let's them back. But I did the opposite. I put the gas on the throttle, and it made me and forced me to rebuild my systems that I thought were amazing that were actually broken. And the squirrel, the reason I say the squirrel is because I remember one night, it was about 9 o'clock at night, at my office, and the squirrel was running across the attic of this office that I'm in. And, I could see it. It was on the other side of the tiles, right? And so I hear this squirrel, and I'm like, that squirrel is not going to let me freaking quit, man. Like, I remember that squirrel is what powered me through. I was beyond fed up. It was 9, 10 o'clock at night that night. I was just exhausted working so many hours. At that point in time, I was doing all the buyers myself, doing all the listings myself. I was the IT guy. I was the listing input guy. I was the sign runner. I was everything. I was all of it. It was one guy. Now, we had a team. I will say this. We had a team, but I had not yet learned how to lead. And so the result of that was me leading a team or trying to lead a team into, giving them this, giving them that a little bit, and just not fully building the systems and letting them go. And so we adopted, right around the same time, we adopted this saying in our office that, let's not tell time, let's build a clock. And so I don't want to tell you where to go do. I don't want to tell you, I want you to build a clock, a system, a manual process for us to figure out how to reduplicate this and give it a higher level of learning. And even to this day, when we build those systems and checklists, say for listings, for closings, they're living documents. And what that means is that if we realize, okay, well, things have changed, the MLS has changed, the client needs a change. We have a client that tends to get upset at this point in the process. But we insert something into that living document so that we can make sure that we process and that we continue to serve clients and operate efficiently internally better and better and better. If anybody that's on this that's interested in getting some of that data, I'm happy if they want to shoot us an email. I'd be happy to share our living documents for both the listing and the closing side. It's just info@jeffcookrealestate.com. I'd be happy to share that information out. But anyways, it's a situation where from a system standpoint, we always have to continue to build it stronger, build it better. So that way, whenever the team does start to come, you have something there for them, right? And so for me, I did it a little bit opposite of Damon. I decided to get some agents, but also wanted to build the operational side first, right? And so operational was for me where I wanted to go. So I brought a listing and a closing coordinator in for 40 transactions, which is a horrible idea, by the way. I brought 2 full-time positions in for 40 transactions, and you don't need that. Now, just to put it in perspective today, one of my closing coordinators does 750, 800 files per year. And I was bringing in 1 full-time person for 42 files, right? And so it was for us thinking about, let's go out and hire some buyer agents. So I figured I'd get these listing coordinators, closing coordinators in. I'm building all these systems for them, which is preventing me from going on appointments. They got clients that are pissed off. And so now it's like, okay, now I got to try to bring some agents in. So I bring in 2 agents, completely overpaid them, paid them, 65 points out of the 100 that we've got, which was way too much. We didn't have the ability to be profitable. And in an effort to try to help them become successful, where I failed in the leadership was I gave them the very best leads that came in. The people that used to call me, hey, help me buy a house, Jeff, help me, whatever. It's like, oh, I've got an agent now for that, And so I'm gonna make them successful. So in order to get them to stay around, I gave them the very best leads. That's a mistake. Don't do that. You keep the very best leads for yourself. The easiest ones is the team leader, and you teach your agents how to hunt, how to fish, so that they then go after it, whether it be open houses, whether it be chasing PPC leads. The same thing you did. The same thing you did whenever you were in the business before you had the team. You teach your agents to do that. You do not give them handouts because that's not going to make them successful.
God, there's a lot of brilliance in that.
It's true.
No, it's true. That there is some serious experience. I've gone through that. Damon's gone through that. Where it's like, isn't that truth?
Yeah, it is.
Good.
It is. But, so the bigger point that I just want to make sure that we make here, and then, of course, we get into the how-to and all that. But I just want to set the groundwork just a little more. So the key thing I hear people ask me all the time, because we get, and we can get into this, but we get about 120. I looked last, asked my girl before we walked in here, how many month to date, how many applications we got. 121. We've got 121 people that have came to our website and said, hey, I'm interested in working on your team, I'm interested in your real estate school, I'm interested in whatever, tell me more. And then 75, about 2/3 of those actually engage with us and have serious dialogue, right? And so the point is that we have 120 people that come in, but early on, we had to figure out a way that we could actually get people to show up and actually want to go about doing this. Now, here's the key part. Average life cycle of a real estate agent, okay? About 24, 30 months, okay? So if I have 100 people on my team and I can convince them to stay for 30 months, that means that every 30 months, I'm gonna have the entire team turnover in theory. Now, some will be there 20 years, some will be there 2 months, right? But the average is 30, okay? So if I got 100 people, let's just call it 90 to be easy. 90 people, 30 months of turning over, I'm losing 3 every month. This coming month, I'm gonna have 3 people leave, okay? If you have, say, 5 people on your team, then every 3 months, well, somebody's gonna leave. Every 6 months or so, you're gonna have somebody. It's gonna happen. Turnover is natural. It's natural. And I used to think, what are we doing wrong? How can we do it better? Can we have culture? Whatever. I just always take the hit on that. And somebody told me, I said, no, it's every 30 months, dude. You're not the problem. It's just the real estate life cycle. And that's actually longer than the industry average. So the fact that they're on my team means they're staying longer. But the point is that every month, I get 3 people on the size of my team, between 3 and 4 people. Now that 120, about 4 people are going to leave my team every single month. Now, here's the mistake. The mistake when people talk to me about this all the time, the mistake is this. They wait until a player leaves the team before they then go and try to start recruiting or start generating new business to come to the team, new agents, right? They don't build the bench. And I used to have people say to me, they said, Jeff, you can't wait, because let's just think about it for a second. If I have somebody wait and they want to go and build their team, so I have my all-star player quit on me today, then guess what? I got to go run ads. I got to go build workshops. I got to go do all these things. I got to interview. I got to hire. And then the person has to start. So let's say that takes 2 months for that to happen. right? Even a month. Let's say I'm really good a month. How long until that person starts till they sell their first house? Typically 3 to 4 months, right? So it's going to be 4 to 6 months from best case scenario from the time that you make the decision to actually make this a part of your daily routine until you solve your problem. Okay, it's just part of it. It's like whenever I go generate leads, guess what? They don't go buy a house tomorrow. I have to nurture them. Same thing here. The agents have to come in and they have to nurture the leads that you've got. And so the point is that you cannot afford to wait until you need an agent before you start hiring agents. You have to start hiring agents now so that you never need agents.
So to Jeff's point, real quick, I'll jump in. Everybody thinks ABR means, accredited buyer representative. It actually means always be recruiting. And so as a team leader, and Jeff and I, we get asked this question every once in a while, well, when should I hire? How many is too many? If they're qualified, you hire them, period. If they're qualified and a culture fit, you hire them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And if you need some more leads, you can turn that faucet up. You buy some more leads. If you got talent, bring them on.
So let's talk about this. I want to get back to what this is awesome. What we talked about was the offer. So let's start off with, obviously your offer now of why someone should join your team is probably very different than where it was, where most of the audience is, because you have fairly robust organizations at this point. But if someone's looking to recruit their first agent, or they have their 2 agents, their first buyer's agent, they're sitting down, will you give me an idea of what they need to say in that presentation to win them over, as far as like deliverables, like that? What would you say the offer should be, and how would someone craft, hey, let me explain why you should work here. And then we'll talk a little bit about getting into the leadership stuff about, they actually want to work there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, let me just share briefly, then I'll let Damon jump into. So here's the first thing is, like I said, mentally, you got to decide that the person, you're ready. You got to decide you're ready. You got to decide you're capable, you're eligible, you're worthy. You got to work on you first. But once you get to that point, right? So then you're asking, what do we sit down and say to these people? Well, whenever I sit down and talk with somebody, I never will forget, there was a guy that when I first started hiring agents, and I had like 2 people on the team at the time. And I sent out this mass email to all, everybody in our MLS that basically said, you want to make 70 grand a year, come along, we can help you, hire you, whatever. And I remember this guy, I'll never forget this. He sent me over, he's a discount listing broker, by the way. And it just shows his mindset. But anyway, so he says to me, he goes, you'll never have anybody that ever works for you that'll make more than 70 grand a year. He said, quit sending me these emails and quit lying to the entire MLS. And I wrote him back and said, well, I'll tell you what. I said, not only will I have people that make 70, I have people that make 100, and I'm going to tell you about it when it happens. And so every year at Christmas time, I send them a card. And so we have in our company now probably almost 25 to 28 people of the 100 that are clearing, 100K a year in commissions, and then a very big number that's between 70 and 100,000 a year clearing in commissions as well.
Great.
And so sitting down with what I learned from that experience, though, is it made me think about, well, wait a minute, how am I going to help an agent make $70,000 a year, and what does that really mean for the agents, right? And so what we say on our team, we have a mantra. We said, look, if you're good, you make 75 grand. If you're great, you make 150 grand, 200 grand. You decide, right? And so if income is important to you and learning the systems is important to you, we're the best fit. If getting paid the most from your aunt that's going to buy her single house in terms of commission split is most important to you, then there's 100% brokerage up the street. And so I just explained in the interview process, I explained 3 things. And I used to do it differently. I used to open up our lead generation. I'm like, dude, look at all these leads. All I need is you. Come on, let's go. All right. That's not how I do it anymore. What I do now is I explain, look, there's 3 kind of brokerages out there. There's the brokerage out there where they take very little of your money, but give you very, very little support. Okay. And then there's the brokerages out there in the middle that give you a little bit of support and give you some systems, and they send you out there to get your sphere of influence, and they also send you out there to get your your network going, and then as a result of that, you bring it back and they pay you somewhere between 75, 80%, right? There's a lot of these big box brokerages that are this. And then there's the teams out there that actually give you the leads and teach you the system. They give you the business and teach you how to do it. They're the 50% model. And so we are number 2 and number 3. All right. Number 2 means that if you find the business, we're going to pay you in the middle. Number 3 means that if we give you the business, then we're going to be partners on the deal. We're splitting 50-50. I'm allowing you to be my partner. Not you're giving me 50% of your money. No, I'm giving you 50% of my commission for you to be my partner. And whenever you make that shift and you actually give the agents, in our company, we give them a little bump for being, personal sphere of influence deals. So that's the way we can actually be company number 2 and company number 3. And when we started explaining that to them, it really matriculates into, well, I know I don't want to be no support. I'm brand new. I'm not from here, so I can't be company number one. So why not have the manager company 2 and 3 come along with us? After I sell them on that, then we open up the leads and say, look, we're waiting for you to start tomorrow.
Jeff, that's great. What do you say, Damon? What would you recommend as kind of the pitch? What would you add to that, Drew?
I mean, it's pretty much the same. I just had this conversation within the last hour and 10 minutes where agent was in here interviewing, and I have a recruiter that she interviewed with, and she said, well, it's between you, and it's a traditional brokerage here. And I said, I started that brokerage. I was there, 15, 17 years ago. And the difference between us and them is there you get to eat what you kill. And here, you still get to eat what you kill if you kill it, but then if I provide it, we split it. And so, it's just a different format. Most people cannot produce enough business on their own. Industry average is what, 4.8, 5.2 deals a year? They make enough business on their own to survive. That's why the lifespan of an agent is so short. Mm-hmm. When you come into systems like Jeff and I have, if people follow the systems, they make money. And if they're willing to work their sphere, they make more money. And so call it what you want. Sometimes we tell people, look at what we do is your base pay and what you do is the bonus, but we provide you the systems and the platform to thrive. They give you a place to hang your license. And that's a big difference.
So that's very good. That's how to pitch the offer, what you shared, Jeff. I like that, the 3 different types of brokerages, and here's the support you're going to get. And then you open the leads.
Yeah.
Sounds like that's the key thing, is that you guys are in control of the lead generation.
Right.
And you mastered that, and that's what gives you the upper hand or the competitive advantage.
And that was just starting there, because you never know what you got. You never know if you got somebody that's just hungry for leads or actually understands the differences. That's why we switched those two, and that's been all the difference.
Got it. So one of the things you said earlier, which is very true, is to never stop recruiting, because turnover is very natural. I mean, even at Viral, we have about 60 people that work at Viral, and we'll probably have an employee leave every month. That's not because of our culture. It's not because of any other reason. It's because their spouse was in the military and got transferred. Or maybe they just don't want to do it anymore. They want to go to a different profession because they're human beings, and that's fine. No one wants to probably stay in the same job for 30 years, right? So let's talk about maybe some type of a sustainable recruiting system. And what I wrote in the promo today was some type of regular workshops, regular meetings, regular mastermind meetings, like getting people together, bringing agents together in the real world, where the audience here would step up in some way to, facilitate discussions, mastermind, train them, lead them, teach them something. What have you guys done from a workshop perspective to bring agents together to teach them stuff that you repeat that helps keep the recruiting machine moving? Let's talk about what you do to keep the recruiting machine going. And I would assume events are part of that strategy. Damon, I would go to you. What is your event strategy? Or for you, it might be actually online now, but how would you answer that question?
A lot of mine's online. We're trying to tackle video in a big way. And it's kind of funny because I guess we started with you, 6-7 years ago? Doesn't seem like that long, but it has been. And with the recruiting blog and whatnot. And God, we did that thing forever. And then we recruited somebody else. And so we just amped that up until now. We just do a lot of content. We try to put it on YouTube, LinkedIn, Twitter, which I don't even know what Twitter's for, Facebook, Instagram. We put it everywhere. And then we also get involved in the online masterminds, in the different groups around the country. If you can get in the masterminds, it helps build your legitimacy, and it helps build
the actual ones you physically go to.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
The masterminds. And then locally, what we've done successfully is we do graduation parties for real estate schools. And
cool.
Okay. And it's just weird. And it sounded, I guess my wife, my recruiter, came up with it. I thought it was the dumbest idea in the world.
Well, tell us more about this. This sounds very interesting. I think we get it. We've heard this.
So real estate school, we go twice. We go the first of the class, the end of the class. First of the class, they're all like deer in the headlights. They have no clue what's going on. End of the class, they have some educated questions to ask. We always get their name and address, email address, phone numbers, pass the little form around. Then my recruiter, she's a professional stalker. She gets on Facebook, Instagram, stalks them, and we invite them to a graduation party. We have a graduation party at our office where we have light hors d'oeuvres, champagne. It's kind of corny, but it works. We do one a month, and we have anywhere from about 9 to 21, 22 people show up for it.
That is amazing. So you have a system to have a monthly event scheduled every time.
Yep.
With someone reaching out to invite them to an event, and you show up in all your glory,
Yep.
showing what it is that you do. And probably some of those people are like, well, maybe I should work here.
More than some. It's a good portion. It's kind of ridiculous. The other thing we do is, and we stole this from Michelle Taylor, but we take the people that we have in that class a snack pack. So when we show up to that class, we, being my recruiter, shows up to that class, she has a snack pack, a little bottle of water, a little thing of gum, mints, whatever, candy bar.
Recruiter's the teacher at the course?
No, we just show up. We get to talk twice for 5 minutes, once at the beginning of the class and once at the end of the course of the 2 or 3 weeks. And so we take a snack pack, so everybody's looking, how'd you get that? Why didn't we get one?
Damn, that's pretty sweet.
That is cool.
What do you do, Jeff? Let's go to you, Jeff. What's your event strategy to bring people together?
So, you know, we like brand new agents. Brand new agents for us are awesome. We're happy to take an experienced agent too, but for whatever reason, our marketing just doesn't seem to generate experienced agents. Seems to generate more brand new agents, right? So we took the real estate school idea because we have a lot of success still going and visiting real estate schools. That's the same thing as Damon. We've not done the graduation party, but it seems to be a really neat idea. And all you have to do is ask. Interestingly enough, our board also has a real estate school, and we ask them if we can come in. They say, sure, you know, come on in. And, you know, we bring some chicken sandwiches and all that stuff, and everybody just hangs out and all that stuff. And it's interesting to talk. At that point, people are more concerned about, you know, how do I pass the real estate exam versus picking which brokers I'm going to be with. So, you know, another additional twist that I think Damon has looked at is helping people have like a study prep course and all that stuff the weekend before at his office, you know, and I've even heard people charge for that, you know, $99 or whatever. But anyway, so the idea is that getting in front of these freshly licensees is a big deal. And so to even amp that up, I was talking to one of the instructors, and we struck a deal where he, for the last year, has been teaching real estate school in our offices. So we actually host our own real estate school now inside of our offices, and that's the leader into them, you know, coming in and us helping them get, you know, to graduate and figure out who's who and all that stuff, and then join our real estate company after that. So anything, we just do basically a shotgun approach, you know, so it's not, I would say, one thing. It's, you know, Gmail, you can put a global signature at the bottom. You know, you see the confidentiality notices or whatever at the bottom all the time. Well, in the Gmail, you can put in there, we're looking to hire 3 new agents this month. Who do you know? And send them to your splash page. Completely free. And every email that your entire company ever sends out, that's at the bottom of the global signature, right? So something like that. It's, you know, paying your agents. If you really want to ramp up, then pay your agents to, you know, bring their friends along, or tell your very best agents to bring their friends along, right? Because birds of a feather flock together, right? So don't tell your bad agents. There's no recruiting bonus, guys. It's only for the top producer agents to get the recruiting bonus. That's the way
Dude, this is really good stuff, guys. I think a couple insights I have to share with what you said.
Yeah.
One of the common themes I've been fortunate to see, and I'm sure you have seen, is an event strategy. From a past client center of influence, lead generation, buyer and sellers. I know you do your community events, Jeff. You know, you do an event strategy is kind of this common principle I see across lots of marketing systems. And you both have your event strategies. That's what I want to talk about. But what's really interesting here is usually someone who's just starting to recruit is like, oh, I want to go find this rock star A-list talent person. And you hear that all the time. And neither of you said that. You said, sure, that'd be great. That'd be a nice icing on the cake. But no. I'm going to go after arguably the opposite of that. I'm going to go after the new licensees. When did you guys make that switch? Did you guys ever start off with like, I got to hire rock star A-list people and then realize I'm going to go after new licensees? Go a little bit deeper on this new licensee strategy, because I think I don't hear that a lot.
You want to take it, Jeff? You want me to?
You go ahead, Big Dog. You're the one that tripled in the past month or the past year.
So when you hire rock stars, normally they're high Ds, and I don't get too far into the disc, but they're really high Ds. They're basically you. And if you hire you, they either want to be you or replace you. They're commonly a problem. If they leave, they affect your business in a tremendous manner because they're a significant part of the business. And so I'd rather have a whole bunch of good agents than one or two great agents. Whole bunch of good is a lot safer. One or two great is dangerous in that they can take your business, they can severely impact your business. The other thing is if you hire great agents, they come along with a lot of baggage. This is how I've done it. This is what I've done. This is what we did. This has always worked for us. And when they come into a system and start challenging the system, it causes a lot of ripple effects that aren't good for the system. And so it's a lot easier for me to bring brand new agents in and train them. Like my agents, when they come in, I train them the first month. They get 48 hours of training with me. Okay. And I think Jeff has a trainer.
With you.
With me.
Hold on. I got to go on a tangent. How do you do that?
Then
we'll come back, but just real quickly answer that question.
We had moderate success for a long time with bringing agents in and kind of saying, okay, this is kind of how you do it, go do it. And then, good friend of mine, Mike Novak, he started really training his agents. I'm like, crap, man, your agents are better than mine. So I started training my agents, and it was amazing because my agents, I call it BATS, basic agent training. Agents out of BATS are where my experienced agents are a year and a half later. So I can take an agent brand new and in 4 weeks make them as good as an agent a year and a half. So that was my failure as a leader to train those people. And so now, when they come out of my BATS class in 3 weeks, they're fully capable of doing
Where did you learn to put together your BATS class material curriculum, how to structure it?
So everything I've learned about real estate, I learned on Facebook.
That YouTube, right?
Yeah. I mean, Jeff, am I lying?
No. And I'll tell you one thing, what Damon says there about the top agent, the one thing too is that just they will beat your staff up over and over and over again. And I'll tell you what, man, it is not worth having one or two agents that think that they're, doesn't stink and risk of losing a couple staff people that are good, that have been with you for a long time, because they're the ones that are going to enforce the system. And I, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying experienced agents are bad, but I'm saying that there are some experienced agents that are bad. So, be careful about you bringing somebody in. The other thing is it takes a lot of pressure off. Man, if you're selling 20, 30 homes a year and you bring on 2 or 3 new agents, we were laughing about it before the call starts, but you bring on 2 or 3 new agents, man, they sell 10 to 15 homes a year. Guess what? You're the perfect mentor for them, man. You know how to do that. Where you bring another agent in that's selling 30, 40 homes a year, and you're selling 30, 40 homes a year, and it's just a lot of pressure and stress on the system, and it's just, in my opinion, it's unnecessary. Now, the negative of a new agent, it takes them longer to get up and going. It's true. It takes them longer to get up and going. You got to hand hold them a bit more, but I just find out that it really works. I remember whenever I was about 25, 30 agents, my number 1 person, number 2 person, and number 6 person all came to me and quit within 24 hours. And it wasn't like you said earlier, it wasn't a culture issue. It wasn't they were mad. Some of them weren't even staying in real estate. It was, personal issues and things like that. And at the end of the day, that I remember that was about 120 transactions that walked out of the door. 120 to 140 walked out in one day within 24 hours. And that's a fair amount of profit, man. That's a fair amount of, it was a punch in the gut, man. I remember when it happened. And whenever the number 1 person, number 6 person quit, I asked the number 2 person if she was ready to become sales manager. And she said, no, I'm actually going to quit. And I'm like, well, all right, then. Well, I guess we'll see you. Anyway, interesting enough, she just rejoined 2 years later, but 3 years later. But the moral of the story is this. The moral of the story is that I didn't have my recruiting wheel going, number 1. And number 2, I didn't have my systems tight enough. And so I've been at about 100 agents, give or take. We're we're about up to 120, about 10 of those general brokerage, about 110 or so are actual true team members. And a year ago, I was also hovering around 90 to 100. All right. I grew really fast in 90 to 100. And then the 40 or 50 that we just need to cycle out. And everybody's going to show you the true colors, right? Interviews. So we had to cycle them out and rebuild, replace, and start over. And now I've got 100, man, that I would march anywhere with. It's just one of these things where we have gotten an amazing talent pool of agents right now. This morning we're carrying 304 pendings right now.
This is about a 10-year, 12-year journey for you, Jeff, for when you started.
Yeah, it's been about a 10 or 12-year journey, but it's been a 5 or 6 years of real hardcore growth, right? Yeah. So anyways, the only reason I get into all that is just to say that at some point, growing the team and pouring into the people becomes the thing. That is the thing. Selling real estate is done by them. Growing them is done by you. And that's a glorious shift whenever that happens. Is trying to get to that point and dreaming about that and figuring that out and trying to clearly see that and searching for that. But when you're first hiring these agents and growing through, and I think we might want to talk about, if you're trying to replace yourself at the listing table, how not to do that, because there's a lot of people mess that up significantly. And I just think that we should spend a minute or two talking about that and how I did it, because I think whenever you bring somebody in, you get 3 or 4 buyer agents. There's people there's 2 different groups on the call. There's people that are trying to figure out how to, grow a team. Should I grow a team? Bring agents in, how to do it profitably. And there's also people that say, look, I got some agents, but I can't figure out how to get the listing side to figure out. Like I can't figure that part out. I can't replace myself there, right? And so going through and hiring agents is one thing, but then trying to promote that senior agent into being your listing agent is quite another. And just the idea of that, I would not bring one person in. First off, you don't quit cold turkey. You don't decide one day, okay, at this end of this month, the last listing appointment ever going on, I'm done. No, it doesn't work. They need to come with you to at least 20 or more appointments. And you don't just hire one, you hire 2. Because you've worked, if you've had a team for 7 years, you've worked hard as you can for 7 years on how to list the best you can, on how to service the client the best you can. You've got hundreds of transactions of experience, right? And you got all these different things, whether it's 2 years, whether it's 7 years, whatever. But the point is that your name's on the team sign, your name's on the business card, you're the guy they call. And here you are doing a handoff, which already sets that person up for not quite as much success as you, but they don't have the experience. Also, they don't have the amount of time sitting at the kitchen table talking through scripts and dialogues and overcoming objections and all that. So they're not going to convert as good as you. And the ones they do convert, they're going to price wrong, right? And so I know that sounds like there's despair there, but to keep in mind, you don't realize until 3 months later that you've got a problem. You might think you're getting listings, but then you got overpriced listings that don't ultimately sell, and that sucks you right back into, oh crap, now I got to go out and start listing, get on fire my listing agent. So the way you overcome it is you bring a listing agent along with you, and you make sure that you don't get too busy to oversee the process. They come along with you, they model you. Then you go with them and you model them. But every single one of them, and in their entire first year, pricing has to be done with the team leader. The team leader has to help them with pricing and also positioning it and also how to service that particular client. And if you do that with multiple different agents, not just one, you're able to get out. Luckily, I was able to do it, and it took me about a year's transition for me to do it. That's how long it takes. Do not quit cold turkey. It will fail. I've watched some team leaders jump out of listings and get back in listings. Jump back out of listings, get back in listings. And it's this vicious cycle for 2, 3, 4 years straight that's happened back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. It's like this ping pong effect. And it just doesn't have to be that way if you follow that system appropriately.
God, that's brilliant.
The key to remember is it's not their house, so they're not going to treat it like you did. Okay? And the reason you hire 2 is because it's going to take 2 to replace you. Because you're working that hard. You're doing the grind. Okay. And if you hire 1, they're not going to do the same grind you are because they don't have the same motivation to do it. And so if you try to get 1 to replace you, they're not going to do it. And then if that 1 quits, you are screwed.
It also hedges your bets if one of them isn't a good fit.
So we haven't gotten here yet, but Jeff, I don't know about you. I think we've talked about it. I never train less than 4 at a time.
That's awesome. Yeah, no, that's awesome. I'll take as many as I can get. Well, I think we 2 or 3 is probably our minimum, but I've had 10 in the class, 12 in the class, and I've had 2 in the class, and I'm good with either one.
I have to go back and ask. So what the audience has learned so far is I need to recruit all the time. I probably need to have some leads because you show them the leads. I love your pitch of the 3 different types of brokerages. I like the idea of holding a monthly recruiting event and maybe having an assistant that isn't as expensive to just reach out and invite people to the event, because that talent's a lot less expensive than having to recruit them to an appointment to recruit them.
Mm-hmm.
But the other thing that you said here that's a key takeaway is going after new agents. So, okay, I'm this rainmaker, busy all the time. I gotta train up a new agent. Well, that becomes easy if there's a plan to get them up to speed. Where should somebody go who's watching this to go find a plan to get them up to speed? Do you guys sell that? Where do you guys get the material? Give the audience, what do you call your course? The BATS, Damon?
BATS, yep.
Yeah, agent get a BAT system set up.
Join the team. So that I don't know if there is anything right now for agents to go from start to finish. You know, real estate as mature as it is a very fragmented business still. It's kind of crazy. As mature as this industry is, how fragmented it still is. Jeff?
Yeah. So, here's the thing. So we built it and rebuilt it and rebuilt it and tore it apart and rebuilt it probably 5 or 6 different times. And so what we have learned in that is that, giving them too much information on launch is not a good idea. And let me go back and explain and then also tell people how they can get access to this system that we've created, right? So first thing is that whenever you bring on a new agent, if you're very busy, you don't have tons of time to spend with them. Damon has highly leveraged himself, and that's why he could spend 48 hours with these people in the first month. And that's not normal, right? And so the thing is, you got to figure out how can you spend 2 hours, 3 hours, maybe a day, 2 hours a day, 10 hours a week, maybe just 5 hours a week with them face to face. Now, think about this. If you're trying to train them up on, say, open houses, and then you're trying to train them up on the closing process, and then you're trying to train them up on, how to pitch a listing. Let's just take those 3 things, for example. All right. Well, let's say that you take one. You take the pitch of the listing, and then let's say you have a buyer agent that's really, really good, and you pair them up to go tour them and help it out with doing an open house. And then let's say you have a listing coordinator or a YouTube video that talks about the closing process, or there's a book or whatever it may be. The point is that whenever they have questions about the open house or when they have questions about the closing process, guess what? They're not going to come back to you. They're going to go back to the original source of the information that they found it on. So it frees you up from all the got a minute about this, got a minute about that. So you're also setting your team up to help grow. Now, if you don't have a team yet, unfortunately, you got to be the guy to teach everything. If you've already got a team of even 3 or 4 available, you have to leverage that team of 3 or 4 to help the rest of the people come along. And that's creating that culture where we help everybody stand together, right? And so one thing that we've decided to do, a lot of people we've realized don't have this coming up. And so I haven't let this cat fully out of the bag, but we've got an event coming up in January, January 9 through 11, called Realty Partners Live. It's going to be here in Charleston, South Carolina. We are going to open our doors and give away all of our systems. And it's a cheap event. It's a couple $100. The website is realtypartnerslive.com. And, ahead of time, if you're interested in figuring out how do you build a recruiting system, how do you build a recruiting model, happy to share that information with you, give it away, even let you talk to my recruiter and understand how our process works, how our appointment works in terms of the interview process, and then how we nurture the people and grow them. But just to answer briefly, it's not a situation where you come in and load them up for 40 hours in a conference room for the first week and voila, it's done. Because we used to do that. I used to do that. And then here's what I realized. Whenever they got a month into the process and I thought, hey, they're trained, I've already told them, right? And then 40 days into the process, they forgot what, paperwork looks like, or they forgot how to write the contract, or they forgot this. And so what we do is we do a quick dump from beginning to end, 5-6 day process, quick dump. And then during that time, we really want to teach them how to work the database. We really want to pound the phone call importance into them. We really want to make them learn scripts, dialogue, CRM, technology, and culture. Those are the things that we're really going to hit on hard. We're not going to teach them how to write a contract. We're not going to teach them how to process a closing, how to upload paperwork, what the commission, payout sheet looks like. We're not teaching them any of that because they're not going to remember it. All they need is to figure out how to get to appointment first. So we teach them that and how to be a good culture fit. And then as they're walking through the remainder of the transaction, that's when we give them 201 and 301. And that's over a 3-month process. And so during that time, that's when we start introducing the closing point checklist and what are the agents responsible for, what's the staff responsible for, and then how that process works over a 3-month period. So to break it down, quick 101, we give them about a 5-6 day 101, everything you need to know, but focus on this, the scripting, CRM, the culture. Focus on that and become successful with that. And let's get some open houses done. Let's get some of those things done. And then after they're starting to get traction there, then we go ahead and introduce 201. And 201 then allows them to get a little further ingrained.
Like a college course. What's this? Okay.
That's exactly right.
College course 1 and college course 201. Got it.
You got it. And then 301's more advanced, right? It's the 301's at the 6-month level, right? So maybe you have 3 transactions under your belt at this point, a couple pendings, and it's time for you to figure out how to get to that 10 mark. That's kind of 301. And so for the entire first year, we're just hitting, and all it is the same group of material just more and more and more and more advanced, right? And so it allows them to take it and figure out how to rinse and repeat, because real estate's the simplest, most complex thing ever, right? It's a buyer and seller that want to each do a real estate transaction. But so many things that go into it. That's where 201 and 301 teaches all the nuances of that. 101 is very simple, and 201 and 301 make it much more in-depth.
Let me ask you guys a question. You guys have been in this business a long time. Why isn't there anyone helping agents do that as a business? Where a lot of the systems are pretty much the same with a little bit differences. I'm just curious.
There are a ton of coaching companies out there, but most agents don't want to. It's funny, the barrier to entry in real estate is really low. A couple $1,000 you can be a real estate agent. Most real estate agents don't want to spend the money that they need to spend to become successful. It's that whole fake it till I make it, then they don't make it and they're out. Most of them just don't invest in it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So let's go back. Let's kind of sum this up. We got about 10, 15 minutes here left. Key takeaways. Recruiting all the time, because you'll probably have people leave and you better replace them, or else you're going to have a 4-6 month gap from the time you have to start running the ads and getting them going again.
Can we throw Wise Hire in there? Do you do Wise Hire, Jeff? I do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I've done Wise Hire since probably the day I hired Viral. Y'all are two of my oldest running systems, so I've never stopped Wise Hire.
And Wise Hire is the advertising online that brings in the applicants.
Correct. Yeah,
right?
It's like Jeff said, it's a shotgun. I can't tell you one thing that works. It all works.
So you're hiring new agents. You're training up with some of the systems that we talked about here. I like how you start the training with business development right away, not contracts, Jeff.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You have 101, 201, 301. And I also like how every month you're doing an event. I think the event is a key principle. I see a lot of things happening of bringing people together for a one-to-many discussion, workshop, training, whatever it may be. Now, there's one more thing I do want to cover is, people do need to know who you are beyond just, in person. That's why we're doing this webinar. That's why you guys make your videos. You talked about your recruiting blog. Can you guys talk about the content you're publishing, your agent training materials that you're putting out to the marketplace so people can stumble and find you online, spend time with you online, see you as a coach and a trainer and a guide, and that kind of pulls people into your funnel, to your workshops, to your one-on-one meetings, so on and so forth. Damon, you spoke about your recruiting blog. Let's talk to you first about that. And then Jeff, talk about what you do to maybe market through social media, video, your training. All right. Dan, what do you do?
So we do the recruiting blog, which I sit down with my guy, with y'all once a month. I do it once a month now, but not once a year.
That's better.
I used to do it once a year. I'd sit down and knock out 48 videos. I just changed t-shirts, but now I do it once a month to keep it up. Am I allowed to say that, Frank? But that's what I did, right?
Yeah, I know.
So now I changed it up. But I do that, and I do a lot of videos. Put them out there online. And then what I have my recruiter do is, we have our target people we're trying to get, and we start dripping the videos on them. So she actually will send my videos to them in Facebook Messenger, so that we're making deposits into their bank account. We're making equity deposits in there so that we can make a withdrawal at some point.
I had to touch on what you said there. One of the things that works really well with recruiting is a messaging assistant. Somebody who has a list of target agents, sending them a message, whether it's an email or a Facebook message or whatever, with an item of value. That's how you break into a cold audience.
Right.
Online, because you just can't spam them through constant contact.
Correct. Yeah, spam is what it is. Spam. And nobody likes to be spammed. So give them something valuable, something they'll use, something that can help them, and they'll do it. And there's so many people that come to us, like, hey, I watched all your videos. I saw this, I saw that. And I saw you and your kids. I stalked you. And that's one, I don't understand real estate agents who have Facebook pages that are private. Why are you hiding yourself? People stalk.
Where does someone go to see all your stuff, Damon? If I want to see all your training, what you're putting out to the marketplace, where should the audience go?
You can go to my Facebook page. It's all there. I put it on my Facebook page. I put it all on. I've got a business recruiting page that I should know the name of. I'll put it in the comments under this.
Okay.
I just post it there. I don't even post it. I have an admin post it there. I record it and send it to her, and she posts it there.
And you also got a Facebook group that you invite people into, and you post helpful things there.
Yeah, that's a good level.
Look, it's like the whole idea, guys, where, and I just have to say this, you go to a listing presentation, like, look, I got to get good pictures. We got to stage the house. We got to sell it online so we can sell it offline. It's the same idea with recruiting. We got to kind of sell who you are and who they're working with and why someone should work with you online through some training materials to bring them offline, right? Jeff, let's go with our time here. Thank you, Damon. What do you do to publish online material to recruit?
So video is becoming more and more and more powerful daily. And so as much as I don't like video, I'd rather somebody just listen to what I got to say. Telling a narrative through video is I've came around to it, is extremely effective. And so the content that we get that people watch the very most of is what we call a day in the life videos. So what we do is we highlight an agent on our team. And all this can be done on our Facebook page, YouTube channel. Just go to Jeff Cook Real Estate, look at YouTube, you can see a day in the life. It's highlighting different agents on our team. And I do about 4 to 6 of these a year. And they work so well that we really don't have to spend a lot of ad money behind it, because keep in mind, everybody shares this thing, whether it be on the team or whether it be,
where do I go to find that? That's on where is it?
It's on YouTube. It's on YouTube.
YouTube, Jeff Cook Day in Life.
Yeah, try that one. So, and again, we can throw it in the comments as well. But what it is like, for example, Whitney Muncie. Maybe if you don't see Day in the Life, and put Whitney on there. We just did one recently with her. And here's what it does. It follows her around. We hire a videographer to follow her around. And, of course, there's a narrative. And we tell the story of what she do on a weekly basis, from real estate related and personal related. We show the kids in there. We show her family in there. We show the car that she drives. We show her on the way to an appointment. We show her with clients. It's, anywhere from 2 to 5 minutes long. And it just gives people a glimpse of, if I were to get into real estate, this would be what it would like. And more importantly, if I join Jeff Cook Real Estate, this is what it's going to be like. It makes it safe for people to leave a normal 9-to-5 job and become a commission-based salesperson on a real estate team. And it's very, very powerful. And so the idea is that we get a lot of views on those videos, a lot, and on Facebook, and it just blows up. People all the time are watching that thing and just, really growing from that. So if you don't have a team, do the day in the life of you. People want to know what you're like. If you're starting to get a name for yourself, and people are all like thinking about, the idea of, growth and all that stuff, then it is just something that we found to be very, very powerful. Now, it does cost a little money to have that professionally made, but it's well worth it, right?
Dude, I'm looking at the video right now. It's incredible. Go to Jeff Cook Real Estate and search Day in the Life. Looking at Brian Williams. Good job, Jeff. Look at you guys. Dude, this is someone. I just have to say, I've been fortunate now about 10 years doing marketing and being able to be with many top people, and you two are the best of the best.
Yeah.
With your experience, I mean, it's one thing to sell a lot of real estate on your own. It's another thing to transition that into a business that doesn't go broke. Training and building that with other people and constantly shifting markets and everything else. And you guys have built some pretty incredible businesses for yourself. So kudos to you on that. 100%. I really mean that. If you have an opportunity to work with these guys, you will have the knowledge that was shared here today was incredible. If you catch those insights, recruiting new agents, the monthly training events, the graduation party, Damon, I've never heard that. It's great. No, it's a great idea. It's a wonderful idea. Hiring more people that are good, not one person that's great. That creates a more system-dependent business versus a people-dependent business. Let's see. If you guys have any questions, feel free to ask. I think you can also go. That's right. Go to jeffcooktv.com to take a look at all of Jeff's videos that we run for him there.
Can I throw another nugget real quick?
Yeah, sure. Let's wrap it up. We got 5 minutes.
Jeff, if you disagree, feel free to disagree openly. But there's a lot of, when we talk training, we're in different groups, we talk training, and so many agents jump right to how can I put it all online, an LMS, okay? And I used to do LMS, okay? I used to use a software called Litmus. And
that's a learning management system. It's like yep.
And the problem with that is that 90 times out of 100, your agents just hit next, just like we all do on continuing education, okay? They just click next. They're just trying to get through it rather than actually try to absorb it. And I did the LMS route for a couple of years, and I turned out some pretty half-butt agents. and I've changed to where it's actual training. Now we stream all of ours to our private Facebook group for the team, so they can go back and watch them, or any agents can watch them. And it's kind of funny during class to watch how many of my agents are watching this class learn. So they're there. But the LMS, you got to be really careful if you want to go down that route, because people in that environment tend to hit next and not really learn anything.
Yeah. Especially if you don't have the other infrastructure and the rest of the team helping lift everybody up, right? That's the key. If you're really, it's like spend 10 minutes extra at the listing appointment, just educate them on what the showing is going to be like and what the lockbox is going to do for them, versus having to circle back and take that oh crap call 7 o'clock this Friday night when you're out with your family, right? Just spend 10 more minutes doing it. Just spend a little more time doing it. Now, if you do have the big team and all that, I think some of that stuff can be helpful. Also, too, before we finish up, I want to make sure everybody caught that email address, Frank, that I sent earlier. It's info@jeffcookrealestate.com. If they want to get our living documents for our listing systems and also our closing systems as well. And like I mentioned earlier, I want to mention one more time, if you don't mind, realtypartnerslive.com. We are going to open up all of our offices and host people to actually come in and see our entire operations center and how our sales managers work and how we hire agents and our recruiting processes. We're doing all that in January. It's January 9 through 11, literally like $200 or $300 to get a ticket to come in and hang out with this thing. It's very team friendly.
We were there last year. It's excellent. Go,
and
guys.
There's no hurricanes in January, right?
What's that, Damon?
There's no hurricanes in January.
No hurricanes in January. Yeah, it's all the same. But actually, it's not too cold, so we'll be good to go in January.
Good. Well, we don't have any questions here, guys. I want to say thank you very much. Where can, again, realtypartners.com is where they go. Where should they go to learn more about you guys?
realtypartnerslive.com.
.com. And then the email address to get your documents, Jeff, again, is what?
info@jeffcookrealestate.com.
Good. Go search online for Damon Gettier on Facebook. You can find all of his stuff. And then jeffcooktv.com for the videos that Jeff publishes. And, of course, I'm Frank with Viral Marketing. You can check out Viral, VYRAL Marketing. And we support these two guys to help them with the videos out of their database and so on and so forth. And we'll be at hopefully your event in here in January, which I look forward to, Jeff.
Absolutely.
So I want to appreciate this today. You guys laid down some serious knowledge. Thank you so much. And I thank everyone else for attending.